तां कल्पवृक्षाय नमतां कामधेनुवे सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहैः तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विश्वितावहैः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः माण्डुक्योपनिषदः शान्तिपाठः ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षमिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः सुष्ठुवांसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति न क्षार्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Welcome friends. Once again, we have come into the third kanda. We have gone past the two kandas. The first kanda and the second kanda. First kanda, they gave the three stages of what we have seen. Jagrata, Swapna, Sushupta sthana. That is waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. And the second kanda is only on Turiya. We have discussed enough about Turiya and how the Turiya is the one which is taking us, what is the status of that, all that we have seen. And then once the Turiya is over, now we have come into what are all those things, into the details of the entire explanation of this entire Turiya and the Pranava, how the importance of Pranava is highlighted from the philosophical point of view, and from there only the understanding of each letter of the Pranava and how it is consisting of three primordial letters to give the mystic syllable, which is going to be the basis for the entire knowledge of Sanatana Dharma, because the Sanatana Dharma has originated from Om, from where the first Gayatri has emanated. From Gayatri, Purusha Suktam has emanated. From there, all other Vedas, everything has come. That is the idea. That is the chronological pathway that has been determined, even though it has been done by lot of sages. So in this context only, when we are going into the depth of it, one of the things what we have seen, because if you see the concept of the Upanishad and concept of the Sanatana Dharma has somehow been reverberated in the other parts of the world also. It's not only in India. So that is the greatness of this entire Sanatana Dharma. It has come in different way, because every religion has got their own concept. Every religion has got their own structure. Every philosophy has got its own construct. Philosophy comes out of the psychoanalysis, a psychology of the human being, how he has to live in this world. The entire world is psychoanalysis. That's what we cover in most of our other talks, because once we understand ourselves, the Upanishad is making us to understand ourselves for our own elevation, for our own betterment, for our own blissful life, without having any worries or any sort of black spots in our life. We can go through. That's what it says. It is what all the other religions also are trying to find out. One of the greatest the coincidences that is coming about, and Socrates, he has not written anything. Socrates is considered to be the fundamental, who is the creator of the entire base for the Greek philosophical thought, from which all other philosophies have come. If you go to any Western universities, first you will have to read Plato's Republic. The Plato's Republic is the basis upon which the entire philosophy is being constructed. So Plato's, that entire teacher, he has learnt everything from Socrates. Socrates has not written even a word. He has only lived his life. Yes, all through his life, he has lived a life of a different kind, because he was very highly elevated. He was supposed to have been soldier. That's what some people say. Some people say he was supposed to be a sculptor, and his mother was she was a nurse, who could deliver the babies and all. She was like that, In our villages, we used to have in those days, she was like that. But then, because when he was doing everything, when he was giving a shape to the stone, when he was shaping given a shape to the, he has participated in the war. He was an outstanding, it seems, he was an outstanding soldier. With all those qualities, finally, when we are trying to find the reason for everything, it elicited into the greatest philosophy. The thoughts, all us have been given to people like Plato. Even you might have heard about Pythagoras theorem, we have seen in mathematics. So incidentally, all philosophers were mathematicians, including Bertrand Russell. Bertrand Russell was also, he has Principia Mathematica he has written. It has also written the basics of the Western philosophy, he has written both and all. The physics and the philosophy and mathematics has, for some reason, has gone together. Rene Descartes, the one, who is considered to be the author of organizing the Western philosophy into the thought, he's a French. He is also a mathematician, incidentally. So all these people had, the fundamental basic knowledge of the science and mathematics, and then they have come to this philosophical thought. Socrates, when he was asked what is his, the greatest contribution, he has not written anything. And one of his close friends asked him, the only difference is, I know I don't know anything. I'm not, but others things, they are all wise, but they don't know anything. That is the difference. So I have really, if you really see how gratefully, he has brought the concept of Kenopanishadam, right? His words reflect exactly what we have seen in Kenopanishadam. Sakshu Gachati, Vak Gachati, when we have seen, because we don't know anything. The person who thinks he knows, he doesn't know. The person who thinks he is yet to know, he doesn't know, he knows. That is what, to understand Brahman, that is the concept we see in Kenopanishadam. The same has been reflected in the very words of Socrates. It was really astonishing how, the great minds, the vibration has passed through. When we say there is a cosmic vibration, which sends, the signals everywhere, and the whisper of the wisdom comes from the entire space and the sky. When it comes, it is like that. People have seen everywhere and all. So when we come to the Turiya also, we have seen the Turiya. Now we are going to see, because how the entire Omkara is going to be sort of structured. How this Turiya, we are going towards Turiya and all. We have seen the first mantra. The first mantra we read that, because we were to see, little more in detail. The first mantra is in page number 28 of your document. I think this is Kanda number 3 in the first mantra. Soyam Atma Adyaksharam Omkara Adimitra Padamatra Matrascha Pada Akara Ukara Makara iti. It is a simple, the statements. So I am Atma. Sa, this Yam Atma. This Atma is Adhyaksham Omkara. This Atma is the one who is controlling you, be it a consciousness or whoever it is there. Adhyaksham Omkara. Adhyaksharam, in the Adhyaksharam, Ksharam means, one of the ones, sentience which can perishable. Adhyaksharam means imperishable. Imperishable, it is going to be sort of a permanent. So that is what Brahman we see. Omkara. Adimatra. Adimatra is the one, who has transcended everything. And he is having different parts. Because like we have seen, Jagratasthana is called Vaishvanara, and in Swapnasthana is called Tejasa. In deep sleep he is called Pragya. All of them are different parts of the same infinite power, the omniscient, omnipotent and all. There is no difference between any of the things, but they are in the form, particular circumstances, they come in that form to give the knowledge and as well as the experience to the beings in the world. Otherwise, they are all same. Even Advaita also, even though we have got Virat Purusha and we have also got Hiranyagarbha as well as Ishvara, we have called 3 different, the cosmic as well as the earthly, because we too had Vishva and Vaishvanara, and we also had Tejasa and Hiranyagarbha, they said, and then we had Pragya and Ishvara. So all these concepts, when we come together, it is all that in the infinite power, but we are not able to catch the infinite power in all the 3 stages where we have discussed in the Jagratasthana, Swapnasthana and Sushuptasthana. But in all these cases, he is indirectly giving you, enabling you to get everything and all. And you will see on each of the stages how we can get the best out of it. These are all not meaningless states. Once you have come into this world, you will have to go through all the states. Waking, dreaming, and deep sleep is the part of our life. Born to you, right from the day we are born till today, it is there, and it's going to be there till such time we are going to be there in this world. So when it's going to be there in this world, in all the things, he is continuously enabling you, and he is trying to help you, and he is trying to provide you everything and all. And based on each one's capacity, that is where your karma bandha comes. Each one's capacity, each one's knowledge, each one's eligibility, yogyata. Everything comes together. Because a person who is doing in a great job, who is into a different thing, he will get according to that. A person who is working in a field, he will get the knowledge, experience, and all as per his requirement. So the God doesn't give, it's a one rule for everything. It's not. He gives everyone as per that. When he gives that, we will have to understand, we should not try to emulate, or we should not try to see someone and try to compare, because we are getting whatever we deserve. If you don't deserve, you would not have got it. What you have got it, what you deserved. So therefore, there is no qualms about it. You don't be unduly this one, because I should not have got it. You have got it. You've got every right to go, give it, get it, and he has given it. But if you are looking for something which is totally different, and you think you should have got it, that is where the question of raga, dvesha, and all the desires, all the conditionalities appear. So while you have got to be contented and all, you have got to be continuously be working on in this world. Jagradasthana, we have seen, because we have seen how, you should not be keeping quiet, you should be doing the karma. Karam iti karma, because that is in the kingdom of God. Once you have come, what you have to do is that, because you have got to do whatever you are supposed to be doing. If you are teaching, you will have to teach. You will have to prepare well and go and teach the students. And if you are a student, you will have to learn it from the teacher. And likewise, and it goes on, the cycle goes on everywhere. And so when we, all these things, finally we say, we are trying to go to the extent, the finally evolution is towards the reality. So before going into this, in each of the state, what is this, all the three stages, how it takes to us. And there is no difference between the omniscient, omnipotent, or the omnipervading, the power of the Brahman. He is there with all the powers in all the states of your life. But he takes the form appropriately. He comes in the form of a skill. If you are going to be a great worker, or if you're a scientist, he comes in the form of your perception, intuition, to give you the enough wherewithal, because now they're trying to work on the Omicron also. They are trying to produce a vaccine, mRNA, and all those things. And all. So in that process, the Brahman comes in the form of intuition and the power to think over, and, because to do that, those who are capable of doing it. You can't be expecting everyone to do. You should have the basic knowledge, wherewithal, where you should have got, by virtue of your own karma, by virtue of your own eligibility, by virtue of your own yogyata, and you should have the capacity. You can't ask me to fly a spacecraft, because I am not trained even to take a small, because more than the small vehicle which I am driving, I can't do anything more than that. I can't even drive a two-wheeler. You can't ask me, because I don't have the capacity, nor I do have the eligibility. I can't be looking for flying a spacecraft. So likewise, each one, once you know what are all the sphere in which you are working when you are trying to excel, he comes in the form of a skill, which has to be imparted. This is what the 7th chapter of Gita, if you have heard, from someone, or even if you have read, some of the mantras there and all, they all say it is like that. And when he does everything, when he comes in the form of skill and everything and all, he says, Natva aham. He says, you are not you. Natva aham. Teshu me. You are mine. You are under my influence. You are not you. I am giving you the skill. I am giving you the wherewithal. Even if you have to learn something, if you have the basics, he directs you to that. That's why, when you put a child, into unduly a course, in which he is not liking, you try to force him, he is not able to do it. He comes back and he got nichocha bhavam gataha, as we have seen. He has got a natural aspect of excelling in something else. He has been brought into that. So that is exactly they said, because when we said in this first mantra, we said the a, u, ma, all the three, akara, ukara, makara, iti, because all the three matras, they are representing, akara represents the jagradasthana, ukara represents the swapnasthana, makara represents the sushuptasthana, that is deep sleep. All the three, how they are giving us and how they are excelling and what we should know about it, because how it is, how we can take the advantage of it. One of the things, last week, in the passing, we were telling, there was one Vaishvanara yoga is there and it has been described in Chandogya Upanishad. And we will be talking about it in very detail in Chandogya Upanishad. One of the prime concept in Omkara is, in Omkara, when you say Pranava, you always say Vigneshwara, the Ganesha, his figure, is being put as Pranava. Pranava in the sense Pranav, when we name a person as Pranav, we all consider it to be the embodiment of Pranava. The Ganesha, Vigneshwara is supposed to have got his Pranavatva by doing the Vaishvanara Yoga, that is in Jagrutasthana, and finally he has excelled in that. And he has excelled, and then he has excelled in all the things, and he has gone beyond that. That is how he has become the prima donna in every puja. First you do the Ganesha Vigneshwara puja, you say. He is the one who has taken, the highest knowledge, possibility of highest knowledge. When you do that, you invoke him. Nishusita Ganapashe Ganeshutvam Ahu. Whenever you do puja, you request him to come. Whether you are doing the puja for the Vishnu, or when you are doing Satyanarayana puja, or when you are doing I think, on Pradosham or whatever, whoever is the Brahman who is considered, you request Pranava to come in the form of the Devata for whom you are doing it. You get that puja done by me. I am just only, putting the Padyam, Argyam and all, everything with my hand. I'm only, but you get it done by me. In the sense, once you have the concept that you are not the doer, someone else is getting it done, that is the final realization. That is what Ramana Maharishi has also emphasized every time. When you have to give, the I and me, Mamakara and Ahankara, when you have to give both, you should always realize someone is getting it done by you. Because, it's quite possible, you may not be able to do the same thing what you are doing now. Because I'm not able to do what I was doing 25 years before. So in my college days, I used to be always be running, going by my two-wheeler, by cycle here and there and all. Now I can't even put my pedal, put my feet on the pedal, because my knees are so bad. So now same, person though, because of the age has created its own problems and all, it is always he gets it done as per your requirement. You cannot think of, I will do this, I will do this, I will get it done and all. Do everything. You plan everything. Do it. But you take it, that's why, when the great, the poet, the Kannadasan, when he said, Ellam avansayan, because when you say everything and all, unnal midindadu oralave endru porul. That means he only gets it done. Yours is limited. Your limitation you have to understand, but you can go beyond your limitation with his grace. So this is exactly, the point that's being made here in Akara, Ukara, Makara and all. This Akara, Ukara, Makara also has got a great concept in the, particularly in all the philosophies, be it Advaita, Visishta Advaita, or these Tattvavada. There is one particular mantra is there in Bhagavatam. In Bhagavatam, the chapter 1, the Kanda 1, chapter 1, Kanda 1, chapter 2, there is a mantra 11. There is a very famous mantra that normally all the one particular word that comes, Brahmeti, Paramatyeti, Bhagavaneti, Shabdayate. Brahmeti, Paramatyeti, Bhagavaneti, Shabdayate. For us, it will not be all same. We call sometimes Bhagavan, when someone says Bhagavan, you also say Bhagavan. Brahman, we see Upanishad, you come to every Upanishad talks about Brahman only. What is Brahman, how to reach Brahman, what is the qualities of Brahman, and what is the requirement to realize or apprehend the Brahman, you will not be able to comprehend. This is what we go on seeing that and all. Brahmeti Paramatiti, it's like you see the sun. Sun has got the rays. The rays may fall on the land. The rays may fall on the water in the sea. The rays may fall in a desert, wherever it is there. But the ray is same everywhere and all. So when you see the ray and you see it is some power who is giving it, it is the sort of fundamental thing. And at that point of time, you can Brahman, something comes like that, because they take it to the advanced stage. The second stage is when you get, the blistering sun, because when you see the disc, Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasya Apihitam Mukam, we have seen Isavasya Upanishad, where the disc, the resplendent disc, and when you see the golden disc, the golden orb, when you see that, and you are able to concentrate on that, because a lot of meditation we do, even during our Sandhya Vandana, even a lot of other Agnihotra and all out there, they do that. When we do that, that is Paramatmiti. You try to see the Paramatma. That's why in Ishavasya Upanishad we said, Hiranmayena Patrena Apihitam Kam, you are covering the Brahman who is giving the power to you. Please, you say, let aside and show the Brahman to me. I am good Satya Dharmaya because I am doing everything as per Dharma. Kindly show me the Paramatma. That's what in Ishavasya Upanishad we said. That is second level. Third level is getting into that sun itself, and go behind and see that Shukla Gati, they say, in Advaita and all, they say, finally they say it's a Shukla Gati. Shukla Gati is with you don't have any birth and death, you are going into the highest level. The below the Shukla Gati is Hiranyagarbha. You go to the Hiranyagarbha, then you have got to the birth and death. It's like going to the Swarga. Once you have your, the karmas, the over, and then you come back here. It is like that. Shukla Gati is, when you go beyond everything and all. That is in the Advaita, it's a concept, it has been written in Atma Bodham and all. Shankar will be coming to know about that. It is there. So it is that concept and all. Here, all the three, what is happening is, this particular mantra is very relevant in the context, because where people are having a dogma, because people are too attached to the religious and ritualistic procedure, to confine themselves to the smaller circles. Like, I am Advaita, I am Visishta Advaita, Dvaita, Tattvavada and all. This is what, because Swami Krishnananda of Shivananda Ashram, he says, this particular Shama, everything converges. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti, Shaddayet. When you say everything together, we finally come to one concept. That is the Fundi concept everyone has to finally realize. Nothing more, nothing less. This is where, finally we learn. The roads may be different, so interpretation may be different. Why these interpretations are done? Because each of the timeline, if you see, the interpretation had to be given, because at that point of time, the mindset, understanding, the circumstances were different. At that point of time, every time, you are being bombarded, with a lot of the other cultures coming in. Like Buddhism was one of the finest culture, but because when Buddha said, look, you have to simply do meditation, you don't have to do yajna, yoga, and Veda and all, don't go for this and all, because naturally it attracts people. See, I don't, because with me, with my existence, once I understand, I can go for that. Naturally, it's a great philosophy, and a lot of lot of improper understanding of the philosophy is also there. Misunderstanding of the philosophy is also there. But it was considered to be a threat for Sanatana Dharma at one point of time. That is where Shankaracharya had come, because otherwise the great scriptures, the Shruti, because people were all in small islands, because, in those days the internet was not there. Even the lot of scriptures, if you say Rig Veda, there are about 100 and different recensions available all over India. They have all get, because by generation after generation, they have passed on, that only by Shruti, not even these palm leaves. By Shruti, what happens? Nothing goes wrong. See, your pronunciation is, even if you see in the palm leaf, you will be try to read yourself and try to understand, you may go wrong. But whereas in Vedas, Uchchadana is very, very important. A small difference in Uchchadana will give a lot of problems. See, there was one particular story in one particular rishi. He got very wild with the Indra because he came and disturbed, and a lot of things happened. And all. So he said, by yajna he will create another one creature, sun. He will go and defeat Indra. But when he was doing, this Uchadana, he did it so wrongly. Finally, he created a son who can be defeated by very easily by Indra. So finally, his purpose could not be served. So in those days, though say whether it is possible by yajna, yagya, and all those, people say, they question that. But certainly the possibilities have all been established. If you go to even Haridwar, Rishikesh, there are some, because there is some groups are there, and they do, because all these very, very strong Vedic groups, they are there. They light up, the entire yaga by only reciting the mantras. They don't, light up with your matchstick and all. But of course, there is a yaga, two sort of logs are there, small logs, cut, and it is to be made into size, that specifications are there. Once you recite with that recitation, the spark is created and the yajna is being lit up. This is what, it's being done, and it's been demonstrated. Once it has been demonstrated, certainly it's possible. And one more thing, because yaga yajna need not necessarily be, you assemble and get, all the samagris and do it. When you are doing a meditation, when you are doing a puja, because with the total concentration, that itself is yajna. So if you see lot of the palastuti of all the sutras, you get the pala of doing Ashwamedha Yaga, or you get the pala of, doing the punya, from taking dip in the Ganges and all those things. When he said, because once your alignment, laya alignment is there, it happens. This is what exactly they have said. See, once you yourself can feel, even when you do, when you peacefully concentrate something and all, the clarity what you are getting, that is the pala. So once you get that, because it is as good as, whatever you have done so you guys, even when you are fighting anything or a case, or even when you are trying to find a way out, for some very ticklish issue, when you get the clarity and when you are able, till such time, you find, how to do it. And, because basically what happens in Indian context, we are not able to trust anyone. We are not able to trust anyone, including ourselves and including the government. Because there are so many things getting changed, we do have the confidence in, because that I did 6 months before. I don't know whether it's the same thing. You go, sometimes forms are changed or the procedure is changed. Even the banks are telling you every 3 months you change your passwords. Sometimes you keep track of it, sometimes you don't. All sorts of things happen. So naturally you are in a quandary as to whether you are right or wrong. And we are all getting used to the digital now. The youngsters are getting very well used, but they also make mistakes. So in the hurry to take digital so easily, they also do a lot of mistakes. It happens and all. So therefore, to do everything calmly with the clarity, that is only few and far between can do. A chief of army staff, we can say, because he doesn't come and, he once in a while he gives a statement, and otherwise, what is it? We think, he will only be sitting in his desk and all. The clarity of mind, with which he will be working is seen to be believed. It is most of the time, after our independence, and when most of the establishments were coming in, the government had a tendency to appoint, the ex-army people for as the chief executive for a lot of, manufacturing and others, because they had the ability to use resources and the ability to have the clarity of mind. Another thing is, all soldiers are professionals. Professional in the sense, because you don't clutter it, with your likes and dislikes. For instance, one of the very famous, I just want to tell it, because so that, these processes are very important when we have to remove our conditionalities, when we go elevate ourselves to another things. We might have heard, all this Operation Blue Star, which has taken place in 1984. The 1984, at the time, it was, of course, the general was General Sundarji. He was there. And then, when Ranjit Dayal, who was there, who was deputy. I think it has been recorded. The one person who was the governor at the time, he has written his memoirs. after the Operation Blue Star, they came and they met him. It was an unfortunate incident. It happened. Because it had to happen. Because there was, you can't say who is, but it had to take place. It has taken place. And the soldiers, of course, finally they brought everything under control. But when they came, the professional soldiers they are. First, they told the person, the governor, who was to first they have to give the report to, as per the protocol. They said, because they took their hats and their caps off. He said, those people who fought inside, from the inside the temple, they were really professionals. If you see the generals, when Jarnail Singh was there, and they were all major generals, who, of course, because of the wrong sort of, they have all been, sort of taken in by, the sort of emotions, and they have all gone the wrong way, prodigal sons, they were there. This general said, finally we have, of course, we brought everything under control, but that's the professional soldier, we take hats off. This is what happens, whenever anything happens at all. You might have heard in the history of the entire military, there is one General Rommel was there. He was called Desert Fox. He is Hitler's general. He was controlling the African continent with too little resources, hardly any resources, because he was not getting the resources. The Italians, under the Mussolini, who promised, they also just, they took away, they didn't give anything. On the other hand, they gave all sorts of problems to him. Despite that, he managed the entire army and he gave them, the run for money to the entire Allied forces. Even today, he is being considered to be a role model even by the American generals or any other generals, because that is the professional, how they have excelled, how the clarity has come. At that point of time, you see, he doesn't have any resources. He didn't have any even food material available to him. He didn't answer somehow, he could do that. That type of a clarity when it comes. Why can't a clarity for our small issues will not come? So once you get, that is what the Upanishad says. The clarity will come. We are taking it to that level because what is possible to the human mind, the possibility of human mind is still not understood by us, and that is what the Upanishad tried to bring. Whatever capability, we can go beyond what we are. That's what, because you just don't limit yourself. It's not just the end of it. You can go and on and on and on as long as possible within your capacity, and because with whatever capacity you can get, and your mind, you can keep it and you can be fully blissful. You do not have to worry about it. Then only the clarity comes. This is what the Vaishvanara Yoga and all, when it is being done, this is what it does. So when we go to the, how this Vaishvanara Yoga, what is, it gives. For instance, waking stage itself. What is that, so waking? We are all in the waking stage only. We are doing everything and all. We all saw two things. There are only some conscious mind, two things are there. Conscious mind is there, subconscious mind is there. Subconscious mind occupies more than 95% of our brain. 5% of is only the conscious mind. The 5% of the conscious mind which is giving the analytical power. The analytical power of determining whether it is right or wrong in a flash of a second. It comes and works there. But when you allow the subconscious mind to take over, you are in auto mode. You just allow yourself being taken in. But when the conscious mind, when you are able to be, by practice, focus on your thoughts, and finally the part of the subconscious mind, converts, can go up to maximum 10%. They say it can go beyond that also. Some people have got, more than 10% also. At that point of time, what happens? You are able to, the conscious mind comes into the play. The subconscious mind, you don't because basically you are able to control your habits. For instance, today, 2 days, you are not able to get coffee, you will not go out of your, the mind and all. You will still be able to work. But, for us, we are so used to our habits, so that takes over. So because that becomes more important than any other thing. So in order to take ourselves with whatever is available, resources, as the generals have used, with the clarity of mind, with the strategy to work on, once you have that, you will be happily working on. You will not be finding something is missing. Today I miss coffee and today I miss this, and that will not come to your mind at all. Then what happens is you are into a flow. You are into a flow of a water in a stream. Nothing, water in a stream enjoys, it does touch the banks, goes over the small stone, pebble stones, and it just enjoys, the wavy water, and it goes like that. You'll be in the flow. We have seen the book, Flow, which we have earlier. The same like that, once you are doing it, is like enjoying, you are giving a performance, of whatever you are very happy with. If you are listening to some ghazal, listen to that, you are totally tabiyat kush ho gaya, you are just listening to that and you are forgetting yourself into that. It's like that, when you are doing that, if you can sing, sing very well, if that is your talent, and if you can listen to that is a talent. When you are listening, you will be attentive, but while listening, you will not be thinking about, tomorrow, that FD is going to be matured, or, I think his marriage is fixed up now. Don't listen to it. Be fully onto that. So there, then you develop the habit of, being in the presence and getting into the control of your mind, and you will be in the flow. To be in the flow is finally what Upanishad brings us out. All that finally is a be in a flow. So if you are not in a flow, you stagnate. The check dam is put in. The check dam is put in, and the water gets stagnated, and it accumulates all sorts of, the mass, and finally it is not of a great use. And it is only, because to be discarded, or it is of little use than what it was. If you are in a flow, it is always be used. It can be channelized. When you are in a flow, you can channelize it for any purpose, what you want, because in the day, you got 100 different things to do in the life. You can do it for 100 different things. And basically what this is, we always, the modern management has brought in a lot of wrong concept. They tell multitasking, this and that and all. Multitasking in a factory site may be okay. Even then, now they say it's not correct. So if you see, you might have seen the famous book, which was written earlier by Irving Wallace. People never used to buy the vehicle manufactured, on weekends, that is Friday, and they never used to buy when the big beginning also, because the concentration will be less. The vehicle will have all sorts of problems. They will be assembled, with a lot of sort of inefficiency. But the vehicles which were manufactured on Wednesday and Thursday, the Americans used to buy that vehicle. They used to be very particular because the date will be there and the manufacturing date. They will go by that. At one point of time, the stocks piled up when the vehicle manufactured on Monday and Tuesday and Friday were accumulating. Because people were preferring that, because they say in these 2 days, the workers will be in their fine fettle, but they will be there and all. Weekend, he has to go with his sweetheart somewhere and all. He will not be concentrating. The week beginning, he will say, you would have spent the week and all. Finally, what is that? And again, a Monday has come. Monday is always not to be welcome. Whether it is in India or anywhere in the world, everywhere it is there. So they were not doing. Irving Wallace has captured that. It is a psychology. Basically, Upanishad is on psychology. They are trying to bring the psychology to the fore and get the best out of it, so that you get the best out of you, no one else. So that is exactly, this particular concept says. That is why Jagrata Sthana, in waking stage itself, why, even a customer prefer like that, they have seen how vehicles have, because you take, after few days, you will have to give it, maybe you will get it free replacement and all, but you will have to undergo the hassle of it. No one wanted it. That's how it happened in a normal life. Jagrata Sthana, when everyone was waking, is what happening. So likewise, in our Jagrata Sthana, to we have Jagrata Sthanam, that is mantra number 2 of Kanda 3. Kanda 3, mantra 2, it is in your page 28 or 29. Jagrata Sthanam, Vaishvanaro, Onkara, Pratama Matra. Onkara is the Jagrata Sthana, the Onkara, Pratama Matra is Vaishvanara is the Pratama Matra. Dvitiya Matra, Apno, Matra. Aptaha. Titiya matra apte hai in the sense you get everything when you are in the normal mode, when you are totally into that. Vaishvanara Onkara Pratama Matra Apte Adimatva. Apte Adimatva in the sense you bring the new skill and new thought to the present moment, what you will have to do. You apply yourself at the present moment. That's what Vaishvanara Yoga says. You are not dissipating into the other things, what you have to do tomorrow, what you did yesterday, what you have to do hour later, even not that. The present moment, what you are going to do. Matra apte adimatva. Adimatva in the sense, because the adimatva is you have always got something before that, having a beginning, because either you have come out of your sleep and to Jagratastana or something like that, or you have come from the dream also. So you might have had a dream, or you might not have had a nap in the afternoon. You again come back to the waking stage, and the deep sleep also you come back. You have got a beginning even before the Vaishvanara, Adimatva. You have got Adimatva. So it is, of course, you have a beginning for both. So since the beginning is there from either of these, when you are coming, you are able to apply. You are not into the earlier state, where you are dormant, either in the Sushupta Sthana or when you are dreaming, which is not, it's only latent impressions of the mind. So when you are able to do it, Adimatva, when you are able to get Adimatva's apnoti, when you are able to apply, you get the best results of whatever you are doing. Pratama matra apte adimatva apnoti. So when you are able to apply from whatever state you are coming in, from dream or deep sleep, when you are coming, you are able to get the best out of what you are doing. Once you are able to get out of whatever you are doing, what happens? Ham vai sarvan. Everything, whatever you do, everything, anything, even a small thing you are doing, anything and all, you get the best, and in fact, you become a prima donna in your field. If you are able to do, whoever has become it in a business or anything like that, if you are able to apply Jagratastano, Vaishvanaro, Onkara, Pratama Matraha, Apte Adimatva, Apnoti, Ham Vaiva Sarvan, Kaman, Nadischa Bhavati Evam Vedaha. Because at the beginning, he verily obtains all he desires, all he does. Becomes almost, he is becomes so important. Without him, perhaps, that particular job can't be done. He becomes so excellent. See, for instance, even if you have to get certain things done up in our plumber, if we want it, we may have 2-3 plumbers, who might have done. We will be identifying one fellow. If he comes, he will get the job done. The other fellow only, he will say, I will bring these things tomorrow. I will come, and day after I will come. Because everyone has got an attitude. The fellow who is doing it, he becomes, the first priority for you. You will not be going to him. Likewise, any job, whatever you do, be it, anything in any vocation, or even when you are doing something for yourself, you will be excelling and you will be desired for by yourself. You will not be trying to give the work to someone else when you can do yourself. And it's not that, because you will not be giving, because you yourself are capable of doing it. Likewise, if it is to be done by someone else, with the special skills, you will find the right one who can do it without any problem for you. This is exactly, they say, you get it, Jagratastanu, Vaishvanaro, Onkara, Pratama Matraha, Aptehi Adimatva, Apnoti, Ham Vai Sarvan, Kaman, Nadischa Bhavati Evam Veda. The Lord in the waking state is called Vaishvanara. He gives you all the skills once you are putting it into you. And if you are able to get focus on that, he gives it to you. If you are dissipating, he still will try to give you next time, not this time. That is why when you go on doing that, it gives you, because whoever you see in the field, they have come first, in the businessman and all, in the Vaishvanara, in the waking state, whatever they are working so smartly. I just quoted the instances of some generals, in the warfare, because there is a real life situation. There is only 2 options. Either you die or you stand alive. That's all. Finally, of course, General Rommel, he survived, but finally he had to commit suicide, having gone to Germany, because that was the state of affairs at the time. But he was still considered to be, it has been recorded, and he has been hailed by everyone and all. Likewise, we also see, in our own profession, we know, how some people have done wonderfully well. And, because whatever given job, you give it to them, they will have it done. We know the engineers like that, and we know even the people who have managed the companies to greater heights. Because all those things we are seeing. In all these things, the trick is only this. You come and you focus on that and you don't dissipate your energy. And once you do that, you are able to bring the entire skill and clarity to you. Skill and clarity are the two things. Skill, knowledge, and clarity are the three things. If you have, you will excel in anything, whatever you are doing. Because there is no 2 second thoughts about it. This is where, they say in the waking stage also, it's not so something, you will have to be, waking stage, everything, you will have to renounce, it's going to affect you. You don't have to renounce. You apply. And only thing is, when you are trying to work on whatever you are doing, you have the awareness of God in you. Always you will have to have the awareness of God in you. I like to run a beautiful statement, because it was by Raghavendra Swami. He said, Bhakti is when you are asking for, why don't you give me this, why don't I get this? And, you have so many things, to ask for, because there are so many voids in our life, we have got so much of longing and we have got so many issues to be sorted out. When you are asking for the resolution, when you are asking for something and all, that is, you think, you are doing it with bhakti. Bhakti is, with basically what you need, because but when you need not for this, because whatever is right, you do it. So whether I deserve it, if I deserve it, you give it to me. If I don't deserve it, you don't give it to me. Or don't ask that. If I deserve it, I am doing this. You do a job, I am doing this. Whatever I deserve, you give it. So that is called bhakti. And he says, over and above that, what is Sharanagati? Sharanagati is, okay, whatever I deserve or not deserve, you will be giving it to me, but I will be fully putting my effort on that. But whatever you are giving to me, you be with me. Your awareness be with me. That is Sharanagati. When you are looking for that particular thing, but we don't have that, because we say, because this is something, someone says 10 days, you go to the temple, and 11th day you expect the result. I have done, gone for 10 days and but have you, even without going to the temple, if you have applied yourself, look, let me do whatever is best within my reach, within my hands, whatever I know, within my capacity, what is available to me, and you be there with me with the awareness. That is fun. Once you do that, your ahankara and mamakara is taken away and all. Once these two slowly goes off, you don't have to take it, it goes off, because you are not the doer, but you are doing the best, which is within your capacity. That is Saranagati. And Saranagati is the one, whatever finally what Shankar says, Atma Bodham and all, it is finally take you to that level of Saranagati. Saranagati, when you go there, whatever you do in this world are meaningless. Doesn't mean, that you stop doing it. You got to do it. But when you are doing it, you will not be expecting the result. That is a Kanmanyeva Adhikarasto Mapaleshu Katachana. That is what exactly it comes. Don't expect anything. If it has to come to you, it will come to you. So there is one particular, in the North India, when you go to the vehicles, they write beautiful words on the back of it. Some of the things, register your mind. And one I've seen, I think there's somewhere long before, in North only, when I was driving, somewhere in all. समय से पहले भाग्य से ज्यादा कभी नहीं मिलता. See, this is normal, it's written in all vehicles only. Before the time when you have to get whatever you do everything, you move, you got a source, you got a recommendation, the minister, you know this, that and all. Samay se pehle it will not happen. Bhagya se jyada, what you deserve, that only you will get. Nothing more than that. Samay se pehle, bhagya se jyada, kabhi nahi milta. So while what is available, what is not available, maybe like that. But you have to have the awareness of the God in the sense that you have the awareness of the skill. He comes in the form of skill. He comes in the form of clarity. He comes in the form of willingness to do. He comes in the form of willingness to take risk. He comes in the form of doing something, not keeping quiet. Trishna Vichetavat, we have said, you should not desist from doing anything. You should not procrastinate. What is it? Because just I am retired and not that mean I keep quiet and take food and be in the house. I have to keep doing whatever is in my power. What is the purpose of having 2 hands, 2 legs and the body and eyes? So this has got nothing, no meaning if I don't do anything and I be doing it and all. This is exactly, this particular one. This come, when it's aksharam in the sense is the word which is said. Jagratasthana represents the The Jagratasthana, when it's represents is the primordial syllable, for the womb. Like every language, is the first one. We know Tirukural also. Agara mudala ezhuthallam adibhagavan ulage mudugu. Agara mudala ezhuthallam. Agara mudala ezhuthallam. Akara is first. That is the first word, first syllable for womb. Agara mudala ezhuthallam adibhagavan mudale ulagu. Adibhagavan is the one who gives you the strength, he gives you the knowledge, and he gives you the wherewithal to do everything. And he also gives you from doing anything wrong for your own good. Not that, by doing wrong. And I'm supposing, if someone wants to do something wrong, and if he that is what he is destined to, even the skill is given by him only. The skill doesn't come, even for a murderer or a robber, the skill comes from him only. But that is what he desired, and that is what he deserved. That is how he gets it. Not that, he is doing, out of the way and all, because the ethics come in the way and all. Ethics are something, because which is a very great subject, because, ethics is one of the greatest subject in Western philosophy. What is ethics, how ethics are to be taken and all. Whereas in Indian philosophy, we have got the ethical way of doing. For instance, our the national sort of the entire adage, the entire whatever we call, the national, our sort of a buzzword is Satyam Eva Jayate. Satyam Eva Jayate has come from Mundaka Upanishad, Atharvana Upanishad we call it. Madhvacharya prefers to call it Atharva Upanishad. It is called originally Atharva Upanishad because since the Mundaka is the word it starts from, because Mundaka is nothing but one who is shaved off head, because the saints and sages, its Mundaka is that. It doesn't mean anything extraordinary. It does, because that called, because when you want to renounce, or you don't have to renounce as said, but you reach the stage of renunciation at that highest level. That Mundaka Upanishad then explains how you have to go about. The Satyameva Jayate is the word from that Upanishad. In particular, that mantra is there. We have stopped at that. Following that, one small word is there. Na-anritam. Na-anritam. Na-anritam in the sense, whatever is not desirable is not Satyam. So we say Satyameva Jayate, we know. But Na-anritam, without that, Satyameva Jayate doesn't have a meaning. Satyameva Jayate, we know, because if people who are in the current world, who have done everything, finally they are not getting the things done. A friend of mine used to say, Satyam ever Jayate. I have not seen that, that's what he said. Because that, see, that is how, it has come. But the Upanishad says, Satyameva Jayate na anritam. Na anritam in the sense, what is not Satya, what is not the truth. Truth is someone all of us are trying to find out. We ourselves are who are we, when we are trying to find out what is the truth, what is our real nature of existence, what is that what we are. I may be having a name form and I may be coming here and talking and all, but who am I? That's what, whenever Vivekananda talked, in his lectures, he said, if only you knew who you were. In all his lectures, after his famous Chicago speech, everywhere in Vedanta Society of New York and Divinity School of Harvard, in Boston, everywhere the first word he started, if only you knew who you were. That's what he was telling. Because that is where the entire inquiry starts. The inquiry is one of the resplendent inquiry, the taking you to the levels beyond which the human mind can imagine. The mind, that is how, we have got the embodied brain and disembodied mind. The mind, when we talk, it's a disembodied mind. It is supposed to be in your, not in your Sthula Sarira. It is only your, because the Sushma Sarira only it is there. That mind and brain, we can talk about brain, it has got the cells and other things. Finally, what it produced, the end result is in the mind. It is again being controlled by something else. We said all the switches are there in the Sushma Sarira. All the chakras and the switches, that they are all there in the Sushma Sarira. Finally, when you get everything Turiya and the stage, we said Ashtadisya, the Sangulam, it is the pituitary gland. And finally, it is 12 inches above the head, when it is there, it is in the Sushma Sarira only. The switch is there. It is something unexplainable. Disembodied mind is unexplainable, more to be felt, experienced. The disembodied mind can be felt only by the intuitions you get. The intuition, positive intuitions, you make you to progress, because very often reason will fail. Faith begins when the reason fails. When reason fails, we immediately say, we will have to go to the temple, we will have to do the puja, and we will have to do other things and all. Why reason fails? Because we didn't have the clarity, we didn't have the wherewithal, we didn't have the knowledge, or we didn't have the to get everything and all. When you are constantly looking into your internals, when you are having a meditating, Shravana, Manana, Nitidhyasana, when you are able to see yourself inside, when you embark upon your inside journey, inward journey, you get that. When you get that, and that is the final outcome of it. You get that at the highest position when you are getting it. The intuition comes. Intuition is more to be sort of felt, and intuition is the truth. So when everyone says, you should not, you should do this, you should do this and all. So because if the intuition says, I'm not going to do that, because that's what it says, let whatever come happens me, that may prove to be true. That may prove to be true, because when you are thinking very clearly without any bias and conditionalities, it will prove to be true. It has happened so many times. I've seen so many people, because they said, because I think, if you do this, it will happen. Why don't you do this? People have egged on others to do something and all. But they said, I will not do, even if I'm going to get $1 million, I'm not going to do that. They've desisted. They have been proved to be right. Because finally, what you are supposed to be getting is the highest elevation of your mind, the status that is disembodied mind. The disembodied mind, by giving the practices of your embodied body, mind, and intellect, which gives the enough input to the brain, finally your disembodied mind gets the benefit of the entire thing. This is what Upanishad says. Mind cannot be manipulated or done everything and all, because we are working on our body. Yoga means doesn't work on your body. Yoga is union with the highest power. The Atma and Paramatma, getting the sort of the communion and getting it to the highest level, that is yoga. Yoga is not, you do this asana, your tummy will go off and, your knee pain will go off. That's all so incidental. It has got nothing to do with it. But even when you do Patanjali Yoga, it all had to be done with that aspect of union with the final power. But unfortunately, what has happened is, for the exigency or the other purposes, the yoga has been disassociated, with that meditative mind. And it has been taken out. That's why you find the yoga is being taken as a misnomer. Even Iyengar, when he did the yoga and all, he finally said, unless your mind is in, you will not be able to do anything. So therefore, we are ending, before we go end the session, we will have only one thing, we will highlight it next week. When you are having any Vaishvanara or anything like that, when you want to have the Adimatva, Aptamatva, when you want to, everything want you have it. This is basically your mind and emotions, both of them will be coordinating. Brain and emotions will have to be coordinating. Emotion is emotion, energy in motion. It is coming out of your heart. And mind is giving you the thoughts. Thought and emotion will have to have the positive vibration and they will be in sync. So therefore, what happens is, incidentally, you should have the intentions also should be very clear. It is not that you are doing something, keeping some other intention. It will not work. The intention had to be in line with your expectation and what you want to do. You may not expect whatever comes, you will be taking it. Because once you come into this clarity and wisdom, you will not be going out of that. So your both of them will be in sync. Your thought and emotion will be able to be sync. That is, your brain coherence and heart coherence will have to be together, and they will have to be, because they will have to run through in parallel in the same symphony. If it doesn't do, because you will have one matches the other and the other doesn't. If emotions takes over, the thought will not have any meaning. The intuition will not have any meaning. In emotion, something you would do, it will not be, perhaps, sometimes you may be regretting, and sometimes, perhaps it may give all undesired consequences, unwanted consequences. So therefore, they have to be in sync. And when it is in sync, your intentions, your action will be one and the same. It produces the greatest thing. So you get the highest intuition. All this, we have got two more slokas in this kanda, followed by that, Brahmadrishtam, and we will be going a little faster into that, because we have got a lot of other great concept to see. The A, U, Ma, and Nada has also got very great significance, and that significance we will see how it has been, because whenever you do renunciation of the world, you don't renounce the world, you renounce the desires in the world. You renounce your association with the world. You be there, and you are there, trying to do whatever is given to you. You don't renounce everything, because I leave my here and go to Haridwar. It's not renunciation. You have to renounce all desires, and you be, unshakable. Means, you are equal to everyone. How you can be equal to everyone? Madhyastha, they call it, because that next mantra we will see. That's a great concept. Once you come to that, it is elevating in with it, because next mantra is elevating Utkarshata. We will be seeing, because how it takes it to that and all. That Utkarshatva, how it is being described in the next mantra, will give us an idea as to how we are going to proceed further into this. With this, because our intuition is the final guide. For that, we do have to have the brain coherence and heart coherence. That means our thoughts and emotions will be in sync. And this is what the Upanishad highlights. This is exactly the purpose for which we are embarking upon this Upanishad. After this, by practice, if we are having it, that is the biggest benefit we are deemed to have got from the study of the Upanishads. With this, today I will just close the session. Already we are into it. Maybe I think immediately after this, we will go for a small, I have taken a meditation. We will do that. So with this, I will just close the session formally, and then Sahana Vavatu. Sahanau Bunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahaihi Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vishvidavahaihi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now we will go for a small meditation, as we have been doing. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೀಯೇ ಹೇಳುತ್ತಾಗ ನೀ ಹೇಳ್ತೀಯಾ? I will ask you to tell. Let's see that. As usual, you be in your comfortable position. Are you able to listen?
Yes, yes, yes.
Are you able to listen?
Yes,
No,
yes.
no.
I am able to listen.
Maybe slightly increase the volume.
Yeah. Be comfortable. Volume is okay? Are you able to listen?
Yes, yes, I am able to listen.
Yeah.
No, volume is not audible, Ramchandra.
Yeah, 1 minute. It's okay now? Just be yourself, observing your breath as usual. All of us should be feeling the warmth of your breath, exhaling breath. Just get into a trance, unmindful of anything. Should be a wonderful sync. All your nerve roads are getting energized. Your cells are getting charged. You can visualize a bright light, pleasing light, soothing light. Just feel you are a new being. Just focus on your heart. The center of emotions. Where the Paramatma resides. All of us should feel the love and bliss of the Brahman. Slowly take your two palms, softly put it on your heart, and feel the wonderful feeling of your heart. The supreme love, celestial bliss. You can slowly take your palm and place it on your soft eyes. Feel the warmth of it. When you feel comfortable, slowly take your palm away from the eyes. Very gently, very slowly, open your eyes as and when you are ready. Don't force it. Your eyes should open in a normal course without any effort. Now you can slowly remove your eyes, open your eyes. Feel comfortable. Just as slow as possible. Don't force it on yourself. Thank you. Wonderful. I think now Vidya wants to tell there is a meditation program, which is coming about or something like that. If any of us want to take advantage of it, I think she will just give the details right now.
Hello, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Yes.
Yeah, actually there is one program is coming up today. Actually, it is an advanced workshop. It is totally free and it is on 3rd today and 5th evening timing evening 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. This program is called Connect, and this is about the relationship. So after relationship that makes our life, how to heal our relationships, about ourselves, and also the relationship with other people. So this is about this how we can heal the relationship about ourselves and also the others. It will be an interesting workshop. So it is conducted by one internationally famous person called Shayans Daga. He is a spiritual coach, deep meditator, an entrepreneur, and also an empowerment specialist. Actually, he explains the spiritual concepts with scientific class. Will be a quite interesting session. If you are interested, just I will send the link to you. Zoom link is there, just you can directly log on into that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Krishnan sir, you tell me. You are asking for something? You unmute. Krishnan sir?
He's muted.
Yeah, unmute. You have to unmute. You are still muted. You have to unmute. Okay. You wanted to ask something? Okay. Anyway, she will be, you send the link to Veda Upanishad. Okay?
Okay, yeah, I will be sending. Okay.
Yeah, if you want to take advantage of it, you can take it. I think he seems to be a sort of more than last 25 years. He has been into this, and he has also got a lot of positive effects, and he's attached with one Pyramid Valley in Bangalore. Pyramid Valley in Bangalore, you might have heard. It's a big organization, where they have got a lot of programs conducted, and a lot of people participate all over the world, including India. And this link will be given, and depending upon how you are positioned and what way you can participate. It's a free program. If you want to take, you can take advantage of it. It's basically a sort of what we call Shravana, Manana, Nitidhyasana. This is about, giving how, because he gives a good music, he also gives a good explanation. And presumably, if it is helpful, we can take advantage of it. Thank you. We'll complete the session today. Sahana vavatu, Sahanau bunaktu, Sahaviryam karavavahaihi, Tejasvinavati tamastu ma vishvidavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.